This will be homework help on lesson 7.10 when we're using the factoring to solve quadratic equations. Now, this is standard form, and the protocol, the strategy is to put this into standard form. So we'll go 12 x squared, transpose the negative 9x to this side, where it becomes a positive 9x, and that equals 0. Now, instead of 3 terms, we only have 2 terms, but the protocol is the same. We're going to factor out of this the greatest common factor, which is a 3x, and then this leaves us with 4x plus 3 equals 0. And again, we're using that a comma or a times b equals 0, the 0 factor property, where if this is a 0, 0 times something is 0, or if b is a 0, 0 times something is 0. So we're going to equate each of our factors now. This is in a sense our a and this is our b to 0. So 3x equals 0, or 4x plus 3 equals 0. And actually, for this step in this equation, they want you to take this equation, put it in standard form, which we've done, and factor it. So the answer for this part is to put this in there. So I've put this in there. The first thing they want you to do is to, again, put it in standard form and factor it. That's your step. Now, the next step would be to solve these mini equations. Once we equal each of the factors to 0, here x for this one would be 0. And for this one, I'm going to transpose the 3. Let me show you that. That becomes a negative 3. And then I'm going to divide by 4. And that's what I'll put here. Get a fraction bar. So negative 3 and a 4. And submit the answer. And we have this one correct. So this is one of the kinds of examples that you're going to get. So as to not to make this too long, this is a similar one. Put it in standard form. And again, they want you to factor it. So I'm going to do this one also. So this will be 49x squared minus 16 equals 0. Now, what they're asking is show the factoring of this here. So this is the difference of perfect squares, which will factor into its conjugates. 7x, 7x, 4, 4. One's a plus and one's a minus. So this is what you put here. And then the next slide will ask you for the solution. And I'll just shorten this up by doing it like this. So here x will be a negative 4 divided by 7. And here x will be a positive 4 divided by 7. So I've put that into the answer box, submit, and I have that one correct. And then now they're going to ask for the solutions, and I'm going to put fractions in here, negative 4 sevenths, and here, fraction bar, 4 sevenths. Submit the answer, and that is correct. Now, another type of example you're going to get is where it's already in standard form. You don't have to move everything over, but you need to factor it. So they're not asking for the factoring as an answer. We're just going to factor it here and get our answers. So y, factors of 27 that add up to 12 is a 9 and a 3, and it's all going to be positive. So here, using the shortcut, here our equation will be y equals, transpose that, negative 3. For this one, y equals negative 9. And if I put those into the system, negative 3, negative 9, and I submit my answers, I see I've done this type correct as well. Now, another type of example you might get is one like this, where they're giving you the answers. They want to know what would have been the original equation or something very similar to it. So, again, we're going to set it up like so, where this was a y here and a y there. And to get a positive 9, this would have had to have been a negative 9. And a positive 8, this would have had to have been a negative 8. 8, yes. So now we FOIL this and get y squared and a negative 17 in the center, and then a positive 72 equals 0. And there's our equation. So putting that carefully into the box, from the answers I worked backwards, got my factors, FOILed it, and then I have my equation, and now I submit it, and I have that right. You'll notice my bar on top for practice is moving along. All right, let's see, we'll do one more. All right, now this one is of the type where it looks like a trinomial on the left, but it doesn't equal 0, so it's not in standard form. So the first thing we have to do is put it in standard form. So this part's okay. We have to transpose that. On this side, it becomes a positive 6, plus 1 is plus 7 equals 0. So now they're asking us to factor this. And generally, these aren't too difficult. What do you think your signs would be if this is a positive and this is a negative? Well, both of these have to be negative. So let's put that in there. So there it is. And submit. And we have that right. Now, when we go on to the next, they're going to ask us now, what is the solution? Well, if you're catching on to what's going on here, we can, just equate each of these to 0. So this is going to be a x equals 1. Here, x equals 7. So if we put in there a 1 and a 7, that should do it. Okay, I'm going to stop here because we've just approached 10 minutes. I don't want this to be too long, but hopefully this gives you what is expected in practice and then later certify.